I was not confident. I was not loving myself for longest time. Eating disorder, that's showing you that I wasn't accepting my body. I wasn't accepting who I was. And the constant struggle for, achieving more, 4 degrees, universities, and financial success, but still I didn't have that wow inside of me. I wasn't wowed by who I was. And then I almost died in the fire. And that's now it became like my message that my life was in ashes. My house, I was watching it all in flames. And it's actually my life was in flames because I just walked out of the relationship with the father of my daughter and walked out of this glitz and glam life in Monte Carlo, the private jets, yachts, and all the beautiful things that.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nafisa Sikandri, a licensed clinical psychologist specializing in anxiety-based disorders. I created the Mental Health Break podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you prioritize your mental health. Mental illness can cost you time and money. Ignoring your symptoms will only make the problems worse. Taking time out of your busy day to dedicate to improving your mental health can lead to long-term health and wellness. In this podcast, you'll learn tips, tricks, and proven strategies to help you regain control of your life, all while prioritizing your mental health. If you want to improve your life, regain control of your mental health, and feel empowered, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by the Calm Your Brain and Become More Efficient training. Learn how you can create long-term control of stress and overwhelm in your life while increasing productivity in all areas of your life. Get to the root of your OCD and regain control of your life from unwanted and intrusive thoughts that create irrational thoughts and fears in your life. Watch my free virtual training by visiting transforminganxiety.com/OCD training. Today, I'm joined by Katia Stern, also known as the Wow Woman. Let me introduce her before I bring her on. Katia, also known as the Wow Woman, is an executive transformational coach and mentor, Mrs. Canada Classique 2020, and Canada's national level fitness bikini competitor. Katia is a 2 times international best-selling author who has written the book You Were Born Wow, focused on achieving personal success through insights into different aspects of a people's life, their mind, body, and image transformation. The second co-written effort by Ms. Stern is the best-selling book Success. It's founded on faith in yourself to achieve goals with Jack Canfield as its author. This creative collaboration with Jack Canfield, America's #1 success coach, founder of the billion-dollar Chicken Soup for the Soul publishing empire, has made Katia a recognized empowerment coach. Ms. Stern has helped hundreds of men and women in 25 countries to reach their goal and has been featured on Forbes, Marie Claire, Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, Authority Magazine, Super Mama, Muscle Memory, Thrive Global Magazine, and Brains Magazine. Ms. Stern supports men and women 40 plus on their self-discovery journey to reconnect with authentic self, reclaim body confidence, and reach emotional harmony so that they become more visible, vibrant, and able to enjoy their life again. Well, hi, Katia. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today.
Thank you. So nice to be here, Nafisa. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for finding that I have something to contribute to your audience.
Oh, I met you last week at the Go All In Festival or Fest, and I just loved hearing your story, and I wanted you to come in and share your story about how you became Mrs. Canada, how you became the Wow Woman. So can you walk us through the journey of how all of that started from your days as a child to how you ended up like being the person you are now?
Right. Thanks for asking. This is basically, yes, this is a story about my life and how I became the Wow Woman. That's like the first question that people ask, the wow. And, I wrote a book, You Were Born Wow. I wrote it after I met Bob Proctor. I was fortunate enough to have dinner with Bob, and I talked to him about my project, my woman, what I'm doing, and he's like, Katia, you have to write a book. And so I did, and his book was called You Were Born Rich. I used my wow because that's an expression of how I would want to be describe. And that's what happened. And actually, it was subconscious. I didn't want to, I didn't know I'm the wow woman. But that's what, when people achieve something, when people look good, when people do something extraordinary, you say, wow, right? So this is like an expression of this wow. And the wow woman came along when You Were Born, Wow was born. And this became a best-selling book and basically became my brand. And I'm loving it because my woman, she wants to be wow. She's done a lot, usually for others. She's served her children, her parents, her. She's a successful woman, most of all in her career. So everybody's happy. But now I want to be that wow woman. I want to. It's time for me. It's my time to play. It's my time to enjoy life. So that's basically the story of my brand, of me and my audience, my clients. So that's that wow woman. And I was not born with this. I was not being wowed by myself for many, many years. I was not confident. I was not loving myself for longest time. Eating disorder. That's showing you that I wasn't accepting my body. I wasn't accepting who I was, and the constant struggle for achieving more, 4 degrees, universities, and um, financial success. But still, I didn't have that wow inside of me. I wasn't wowed by who I was, and then I almost died in a fire. And that's now it became like my message that my life was in ashes. My house, I was watching it all in flames, and it's actually my life was in flames because I just walked out of a relationship with the father of my daughter and walked out of this glitz and glam life in Monte Carlo, the private jets, yachts, and all the beautiful things that every girl dreams about. I walked out with nothing, with like zero. So my whole life was in ashes. I almost died. It was my last breath. I thought I would make another one in this kind of smoke. And that made me think, realize that, oh my God, it's all over, but I haven't lived yet for myself, for my joy, for my pleasure, if you want. And a lot of women are going through the same, not having enough pleasure, not living for themselves. And that made me think, and that made me realize that no, I better start living right here, right now. So in the last 15 years after that, having that thought that it may be over anytime. And we usually live like, okay, for one day. That day never comes. So until you get something like a fire, I'm not wishing to anybody, but that's my message now. I want to inspire somebody not to wait for that terrible event, but become that wow woman and start living for your dreams, for your passions. And that's how I really, what can I do that's going to inspire me inside, that's going to give me that fire inside. And it for me it became a fitness competition. I got on stage when I was 42. I'm a lawyer, I'm a mother, all of that doesn't go well with the image of a practically naked fitness bikini model at 42. And I was standing there thinking, what am I doing here in Hollywood, blonde, looking like a nice, beautiful Barbie? Basically, like thinking, who am I to be here? What am I doing here? And then I thought, okay, that's me too. That's another side of me that I never fully expressed, that I can be anything. So that kind of started me on this path of like doing fun things. So then why not a beauty pageant? That was when I was 46, I believe. Then like that book, then another book. Why not? So once you allow yourself, once you give yourself permission to be somebody more, better, not better even, more fun, more life is a party.
Well, you accepted all of your sides, right? You weren't just a lawyer, you weren't just a mom. Why not you? I mean, like you said, as far as like, don't wait for the fire, Oprah says, God whispers to you to change direction. And if you don't listen, he'll throw a brick at you. For you, it had to be the fire
It
for you.
was thrown at me from, yeah, I had to almost die to realize that I got to start living
Right.
my life for me. And obviously, why women wait, usually why was I waiting for something like this to happen, is we have so many guilt and shame around doing what we want. Like it's almost a taboo to talk about our desires. Like we want to be this good girl who's always trying to be a good mother, good wife, good person, good employee. How about me? I just want my little pleasures. And no, we're not allowed to have that. Like,
Right.
that's selfish. Oh my God. Oh, that's selfish. I don't want to be selfish. I'm not a selfish person. I'm not a bad person. And that guilt and shame stop us from happiness.
Well, you made the word is selfish. A lot of women are accused of being selfish when we speak up for ourselves, when we set boundaries, when we go for our dreams, when we reach for things that we're not supposed to, right? Like, who are you in your 40s to join a beauty competition? Who are you in your 40s to be a bikini fitness competition competitor? And so that's how those words are thrown at us to keep us small. What was it inside of you that decided you're going to fight against all those beliefs and stereotypes of what a woman in her 40s can or can't do?
You said the word fight. And I think one of the reasons that I was able to do what I did is I realized I don't want to fight. I just want to shift my focus on, instead of like what's going to happen, what if, what to my desires. And that's how I teach and preach, focus on the desires. I realized that when I do this, and I had a clear vision of me being on stage, and I knew what people would say. I knew what the judgment that I would go through. The I knew all of that, but I knew all the beautiful things that will happen. And I just wait. As a smart person, I just, okay, what am I going to choose? Where I'm going to focus? So I focused on this, the beautiful part of it, and I didn't have to fight. I just kept my focus, and that's how I built my body. I kept focusing. That's how I became this beauty queen. I just kept my focus, and whatever I do now, like I have a system of how I achieve goals is by focusing what I want, my desires. And you always have judgment from somebody else. And I went through, when I was in the process of shredding for my first bikini competition. That's why I learned so much. Like for some people, I was too skinny. For somebody, not enough muscle. Too big, too small, too whatever. I even had some comments on my nostrils. But your nostrils are not even. Right, they're not. But I learned to accept and realize that whatever people are saying, it's about them. They're having some issues.
Right.
If you're having issues, if I care about them, I mean, I do care. I'm not somebody who says, I don't care what people say. I do care about what people say. I'm normal. I'm a human being. I have feelings. But it's how I choose to react. I choose to react to those people. Oh, would you need some help? Would you like some help? Because you're obviously struggling. No sane person would ever say something about my nostrils, right? So I'm like, do you need help? Can I help you? Same thing when somebody tells me I'm too this or that. That's their perception. That's their struggle. That's what they see. If they don't see the beauty on all of that, that means there's something, I shouldn't say wrong, but something's going on with them. That's their view, and that's okay. I build my boundaries by choosing the how I look at it.
I mean, you're with two great members of the Secret movie, right? John Proctor and Jack Canfield. Both of them contributed greatly to the whole law of attraction and manifesting what we want to see instead of focusing on what we don't want to see. I mean, there's a lot of criticism and negativity out there if we want to look for it, right? you chose to focus on the positives and visualize that positive outcome instead of the negative. Because I specialize in anxiety, and a lot of people with anxiety, they always worry about the worst case scenario. What if this negative thing happens? But we don't stop and think, what if the positive happens?
Exactly. And I have to proudly say that I actually have three people from The Secret in my life. It was Bob, then it was Jack, and also my personal mentor was Lisa Nichols.
Oh, I love her.
When I realized that my next step is overcoming, and I also go to the big things through fear. Like that's how I look for things. That what am I scared of? I was scared of people judging me, judging my naked body. Like it was, so I went there. I realized I'm afraid of aging, and I want people. I don't want, but my fear is to people to judge me for my age and for my getting older. So I went for a bikini competition, and I mean bikini, the beauty competition, and my last biggest fear was fear of public speaking. So I hired Lisa Nichols. I was like, I went to the best. I go to the best mentors. Like that's me. My worth, my time. I go for the best. So Lisa, and the result you you heard and seen it. So that's how all those three people. And yes, law of attraction. There's a lot of arguments about that, and that's fine. I don't really go with this is law of attraction, this is that. I choose in my programs, whether it's a body program, whether it's a confidence, I choose what works. I don't want to put labels to this or that. It's working for me. It's and I don't do like affirmations, and like if I don't believe in this. So if I do an affirmation and it seems big, I make it smaller so that my body believes that. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm a billionaire. I'm a billionaire. I believe I do this affirmation, and inside of me, I'm like, shit, I'm not really living it, and my body is cringing, and so I do. Okay, I have money. Do I have $1,000? Do I have $20,000? I do. So like I am wealthy. With that's truth. That's my truth, and that's how I get into this vibration of believing smaller things. And then when I'm in that vibration, obviously by the law of attraction, I attract whatever I wanted at this time.
Well, I just want to say a little bit about the importance of visualization and just visualizing yourself on the stage last week and visualizing people receiving you warmly. That goes a lot with calming that fight or flight inside of us, right? When we keep visualizing the outcome being positive, because the opposite of that is, like I said, a lot of people with anxiety, they're always visualizing the negative outcome. So of course, that's increasing their cortisol level and fight or flight, and they start, freaking out about it. But visualization is all about the outcome being positive, where you do visualize yourself public speaking, or your book being a success, or being well received, looking comfortable on stage in a tiny little bikini as you're posing for the fitness competition. So that's where it comes. It's not about visualizing yourself, as being something you're not, because then that becomes phony.
Right. And that's what I think it's so good that you educate on this, because people they hear this, it doesn't resonate with me, as I mentioned, this millionaire thing, billionaire. So definitely tangible outcomes of your visualization, how you would like it to be. Start there, and then you see after it's done, you survived. So you don't have to be in that mode of, fighting something of being scared. Like right now, my confidence level has increased right after that public speaking engagement. It's like, I survived, and then people coming to me and thanking me for my message, and like you approaching me for the interview, so I'm like, oh, I'm still here. It's
Yeah.
all good. And that's how you get out of anxiety, by doing stuff. Unfortunately, a lot of people, like to me, people come for body confidence and sensual charisma. They want to like reinvent their life, so that they rejoice in their pleasure and loving themselves. And again, they all have anxiety. Not all, but I mean, a lot of women have anxiety because we're anxious. But by focusing on that good thing, and by doing it, not avoiding. That's what people avoid. Oh, I don't want to. I want to lose weight, but I don't want to start because I don't want to fail. No, darling, gotta start. You gotta start. You'll survive, step by step, a little bit, and action steps will help you get overcome anxiety. That's how it works for me. I was okay. That's that's personal, but I'm willing to share this. I was about to cancel this engagement because of my anxiety. I'm not perfect. I have anxiety because it was my biggest fear. Of course, I had anxiety. So I was creating defense mechanism, obviously, by okay, I'm not ready. I'm this and that, and then I got sick, and then something happened in my life. So I called Neem, and they organized this event, and I was like, Neem, I can't. There's so much stuff going on in my life, and she's like, as a good coach, and that's what I do to my clients. But obviously, we all coaches need a coach. She's like, you know what? Just show up, come on stage, say I'm here. I'm going through shit in my life, and just show up. Then I talked to Lisa Nichols, and you know what she said? Katia, you have a story. What I said is my anxiety was about feeling like a fraud. I was not in my best space at the time. That was like a month ago when I was preparing for this. And she's like, but you still have your story. You still have you, and we are all wounded healers. Otherwise, we would not be interesting, we would not be relatable to our audience. They don't want us to be perfect. They want us to know that we've gone through shit. We've gone through ups and downs, and we're here. Unperfect was like when I was on stage as a fitness bikini. I was not perfect, but I was there. And that was the difference between somebody looking and judging me and me doing, and actually for 3 years being on stage and making it to Canadian national championship. Whoa, I did it. That's all that matters. And whoever is judging, let them judge. But we're there, and that's how I overcome my anxiety, by doing it. So Neem didn't let me back out. So I was there, and nobody knows that I was anxious, and nobody knows that it was scary for me. I think I did a great job, and no more anxiety.
But that's what it is. It's taking action. I tell the same thing to my patients. I mean, I, as a psychologist, am expected to have all of my stuff together, right? Like have no emotional issues, no problems. But I tell my patients that's not the case. I've had to go through a lot of horrible things in order to be able to relate to my patients. I'm able to understand their struggles because I've struggled, and now I can help them. And the same thing, like I used to have social anxiety. I hated going to parties and doing things, but I would tell myself, just go for a couple of minutes. Go for a couple of minutes and leave if you don't feel good. It's the same thing when I need to work out. Just go on the treadmill for 5 minutes. If you don't want to do it, just get off. Just go back. And that's how we do end up feeling less threatened by whatever thing is that's threatening, right? Like you showing up and even going on stage. If you said, you know what, sorry, I can't do it, you still succeeded.
Of course.
Because you still went and you didn't hide. And so good for you for doing that. And it's all about taking action.
Right. And I think nobody has ever got off that treadmill in 5 minutes, because we still do it. And I can't imagine I would arrive and sort of said that. But by knowing that I can do this, it's like my freedom of choice, then I'm not as pressured. Right. And I can do that, even though I did have that anxiety and I wasn't confident. And That's probably, now you're mentioning that being psychology. I had a psychology. My first education was psychology, and I think that's one of the reasons that I didn't pursue it, because my anxiety was so huge that I was afraid of this. How am I gonna help
Help
other people
others.
that I can help myself? And now you mentioned it, I'm like, yeah, that's one of the reasons. And interesting that my other anxiety of the fear of public speaking, I think that subconsciously that stopped me from being a lawyer, because I have to, after that, I went to law. The thought of me being and speaking to in court, I was like, and at that time I didn't overcome it, and no regrets, but that's my life story. That stopped me from so much more. Now I'm grateful for this experience now. That's why we're sitting here and talking. But a lot of women think that they have to be perfect for something they want to do. And that's total bullshit. I don't know who said that, but it's like, you just have to do. You don't have to do it perfectly. Just do something, little steps, and then it'll somehow. We don't need to know how. I don't know how. I don't know anything, but I
Well,
do everything.
I think I called him John earlier, but it's Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor in The Secret talks about going from here to New York, and how you don't need to see the entire, like the lights, or maybe it was Jack Canfield that said it, either one of them, that said, all you have to do is see in front of your car and just keep driving a little at a time until you get there and you take action. I mean, for me, I didn't realize that I had anxiety at the level that I did. I didn't call it that, at least. But looking back on it, it limited my life in a lot of ways. Like, I wouldn't pursue certain jobs because I was afraid. I wouldn't ask for the raise because I was afraid. I wouldn't put myself out there because my fear was, and even when I was in school, just even being called on to speak would make me feel like I was paralyzed, right? I would turn bright red. I was so embarrassed. But now that I look back on it, I was like, oh my gosh, I allowed anxiety to hold me back so much. And this is why I specialize in anxiety, because I don't want anybody to suffer like I did. I felt like I allowed something to control me that didn't need to control me. And it is so possible to overcome it. Like, you've overcome it, I've overcome it. But one thing you did say is, like, I love Lisa Nichols. And for anybody that needs to know more about her, she has a ton of free videos on YouTube, and she is so inspirational. I took a psychologist to one of the presentations that she did, and this psychologist was crying. She's like, I've never cried like this at a presentation for anybody, because Lisa is so inspirational. She shares her wounded self in a way that really touches your soul. So I do want people listening to go and look her up, because she's incredible. And I love the fact that she got married for the first time in her 50s. And
Yeah,
so
I did this virtual wedding. She invited her clients, and I was crying. It's so inspiring. And obviously now, since she was my one-on-one coach, so I was just listening to this our conversations. I have all of that. It's like I'm watching it, and like how she's helping people through words, through stories, she's like, I'm the queen of lexicon, so I'm going to help you with that. And my fear of public speaking came about when I moved to Canada, no language, and all of a sudden I like just have to speak. And so you had an anxiety. Imagine somebody with an accent, and especially when people say, what did you say? and they may genuinely not hear, but when you hear it, sorry, I don't understand what you said. That's how, like, other people don't. I'm not helping you, but you have to help yourself to get rid of those anxieties and those things that are blocking you from something that you want. And sometimes we block ourselves so much that we're blocking even that desire. We don't even know what we want, because it's so crazy to admit that I want more out of life. Cancel like sessions with me because I know they don't want to admit that they want more, that they're not happy with the situation. And that takes courage because from low vibration to high vibration, the bridge is through courage. That's the only place they'll take. And if you cross that bridge, and if you want to get out of the anxious state, is through courage. And courage is taking small little steps to what you want. But first of all, like, at least have some idea what you truly want, not your parents, not your society, not your kids. You, what do you want? But it's very liberating.
It takes so much courage to even admit that my life isn't working and I want better. So much courage. But some people are afraid of actually getting it. But one thing that you mentioned was when I brought up Lisa Nichols is you invested in yourself by getting coached by Lisa. And sometimes people don't want to invest in themselves. They might think, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, not realizing how much money and time they're wasting by not investing in themselves and continuing to struggle. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. That's my biggest secret from people from the secret is investing in myself. Because it's my own accountability. If people say I'm not disciplined, oh, believe me, if you pay, I'm not going to mention the amount of money like I paid Lisa Nichols, but you know you're going to show up. You know you're going to do all the homework. So if that works for me, it works. If you can do learn whatever you want to learn and get to your goals through watching YouTube videos, that's fine. But if it's not working for you, find another way. It works for me, so I go for the best. And my worth is my worth. I'm worthy of investing this in myself. I'm worthy of hanging out with 3 people from this secret. Like, hello, who am I? This Russian girl who came to Canada when I was 17 without, and all of a sudden, those people give me testimonials. Bob Proctor, I have a video with Bob Proctor where he is like, if you want to get in shape, if you want to look good, get in touch with Katia. I know the best when I see them. I've been around for a long time. And that all of this is through investing, through believing it in yourself. And believing is also through actions. And knowing that by not doing something, you're not at the same place. People think, okay, if I don't invest, I'm okay. I'm kind of safe where I am. By not going this way, you're actually going that way where you don't want to go. But you're still moving. You're moving. Life is moving. So if you're not going in the direction of your Bahamas, you're going in the direction of
Siberia.
Yeah, somewhere over there, but you don't want to go.
Right.
People don't understand that. You're wasting time, you're wasting money, you're wasting your energy on something. You're still doing something, but just not doing it right. You're going in the wrong direction. I'm sorry if you don't get where you want to go.
Well, you're suffering needlessly. That's what especially when it comes to anxiety, you're suffering needlessly because you know that life could be better. And for people that feel like this is how I'm always going to be depressed, I'm always going to be anxious, that is not true. You're creating these limiting beliefs and there is help available. Why not seek the help? And I look at it like going to the gym. Like you said, I could watch YouTube videos and try to build muscle and exercise and change my body. I could even join a gym and maybe go every day. But what I'm doing is not giving me the results at the level or as quickly as I want or the results that I want. But when I hire a trainer, like you said, if I pay him money, I'm accountable now. Now I've invested in myself. I'm going to show up every day to make the most of it. And it's the same thing with getting a psychologist, getting a coach, buying a course, whatever it is. Once you invest in yourself, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show up for myself.
And invest in the best. When I was preparing for my fitness bikini competition, I did my research and I found somebody who gets people on stages in the fitness competition, not just to training at my local gym or at my building. No, somebody who has results, who is expensive. I mean, relatively, I don't know what expensive is. Who's worthy? I'm worthy because I want my result and I want it fast. So it's kind of by paying this money, I will condense the time, which is the most valuable asset for me, or lack of it. If I'm aging, we're not getting younger, especially people that I work with. Oh, I'm worried, I'm getting younger. So act now. Oh no, but I'm not. Maybe next year when the kids this, when that, and I'm like listening to okay. There's a problem, not the money problem. There's a problem with self-worth. I'm not worthy enough to invest my time, my money, my energy in me.
Yeah.
And everybody else, yes, for the kids, but I'm doing for the kids. But okay, you're doing for the kids, but all the kids want is a happy, calm preferably mother.
It's like that whole putting the oxygen mask on ourselves before we help our kids on a plane, right? We have to invest in ourselves. So I want to go back to like how important is, like, not only is it important to invest in ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally, but just even self-care. So many women feel like that's just selfish if I take time for myself. It's selfish for me to get a massage. It's selfish for me to take 20 minutes to go sit in a tub and calm myself down. It's selfish for me to do X, Y, and Z. What do you say about that? I mean, just being selfish just to put ourselves first is a huge block for a lot of women.
Yes, and it's a part of my message. So my message, that was my speech about in my method, my understanding of how to get to your desire is through self-love, self-care, and self-image. So to me, again, based on my experience, on my own personal growth, my journey, and the journey of my clients, is it's selfish not to be that healthy, happy mother, that healthy, happy employee or employer. That is selfish, because people, when people look at you, we all want to see beauty. We want beauty. We want more happy people around us. We want more joy. We don't want to be surrounded by unhappy people, right? That's just common. It's a human nature. Same. So why would it would be selfish to want to be an anxious person with my kids, with my partner, with my colleagues. That is selfish. Yeah, not to be working on myself, on those self-love, self-care, and self-image of how we present ourselves to the world, where every time somebody looks at you telling a story. You telling a story about yourself, about your life, and you all like, who wants that story?
Well, a lot of people are like, well, I'll invest in myself when, like you said, the kids are older, when I have a better job, when I lose so much weight. But those are all external things that we have no control over, right? The only thing we have control over is our reaction, our mindset, and the investment we make to improve ourselves from the inside. And that beauty shines when we're beautiful on the inside, it shines on the outside as well.
And that changed my life when I realized that I'm living backwards. I was waiting for that in my situation. I was waiting for the perfect prince, and a lot of women are waiting for, when he shows up, I will lose weight, I will become this and that. I'm like, yeah, but and I realized that no, I have to become that princess first, and then my prince will arrive. Same with everything else. It's just you becoming first, you becoming, and then you are in this energy, you're in this state where your prince will come to you. If you become that radiant, happy person, then the money will be coming, because money is fun. Money is energy. So you got to match that high vibrational energy. You have to become that first. And that's where you need that self-love, self-care, self-image, so that you attract, by law of attraction or whatever mechanism you want to use. But that's how it is. You become what you want to, and then you get, not the other way around.
Right, right. So you have to become that person that you want to see. Now, you mentioned that you're from Russia. Has your cultural background prepared you for this mindset, or did you become this way despite your cultural background?
Oh, no. My cultural, that's something, and a lot of women struggle with cultural paradigms. And no, I had to create a new woman, the wow woman. I had to create it, me, because I'm not supposed to be free. I'm supposed to be dependent. And I'm not talking about this independent woman who's like too masculine, because that's point of another conversation. But I think that's a big problem for relationship for women, because they're trying to be a man and be in masculine energy, and then wondering why I'm not attracting any quality men. But that's another thing. But there's a lot of cultural things that you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to feel guilt if you're not with your daughter like 24/7, then you're a bad mother. That's a big one that I had to overcome. And like I come from a full family, whatever that is, but I couldn't leave my the father of my child even when he became physically abusive, and I was going through this shame and guilt that I'm depriving my daughter of this full family. So that was a big one for me. Then another that I can't be at 42. I'm supposed to be like a grandmother and babushka, they say in Russian. This grandma who's like covered in I don't know, she could be covered in like an old, I don't know, have this image of this old lady all covered up, and that's how I'm supposed to be, not being on stage naked. Like, God forbid. So what's she doing in the beauty pageant? Like, she's just crazy? Is she? But whatever. It's my life, and if you don't like it, don't look at me. Live your life. I'm living mine, and when I had this real revelation, I still had some guilt when I was raising my daughter, and I was traveling a lot, and I wasn't with her like 24/7. My mom was helping me. I was a single mother, and I had to raise her because that's cultural. The father of my daughter is not supporting her financially, like zero. So I had to find my way around it, and when she was around 13, 14, I remember this to this day. We were swimming here in Miami, swimming in the ocean, just looking at the ocean. That's why I remember this story now. And she said, "You know what, Mom? I love how you live your life." I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? You're so free. You do what you want. You are so relaxed." Yeah? So I'm crying now. So yeah, I respect that. You go to the gym, you have your private time, you know how to say no, like you having fun. I want to have the same life.
Yeah. You inspired her to be herself.
Exactly. And I was that was such a relief. That means I was doing something right or something that's working. And we have a great relationship, and that's how I help my clients now, because most of the women have this bad mother fear of being a bad mother. What's a good mother? How much time is supposed do you think a good mother spends per day? Was it like how much do you spend now? Okay, 3 hours. What if we spend 2.5? You're still a good mother? I guess I am. How about 2 hours? It's like, oh, I'm still a good mother. How about an hour and a half? She's like, oh, no, that's too much. Okay, let's leave it at that for now.
Well, there are people that are with their kids 24/7, but they're yelling at them, they're beating them, they're putting them down, they're treating them really bad. Is that considered a good mother because they're 24/7 with their child, or the mother that works and comes back and shows her child her best self, her well-rounded self, and then spends quality time with their child?
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you mentioned it, because that's only logical. Is there any other way? Like, to me now, that's so easy to understand, but it wasn't. And that was my struggle when I was leaving her father, was again, like we were fighting. She would see him physically
Hurting you.
being abusive. And if only I realized that she would see this, or she would see her father on the weekends or spend time with him. I didn't have a problem with it. As much time as you want. I don't want to be manipulative. As much time as you want, I always said yes. Take her vacation. So I don't want her to be in this. And what's better? Okay, so we're not together, but when we see each other, birthday party or something, we're good. Then seeing this and being in that environment, what's better? So obviously, it is obvious to me now, but when you're in this, you don't understand that it's obvious that it's not the time, it's not how much time you spend, it's the quality, and the quality of you being you. That's important.
Right.
It's not about what you tell them, it's who you are, and it's how they can read you. You don't have to tell them anything. They'll feel the happy mother, fulfilled mother, mother who receives pleasure, who is enjoying herself and her life. They'll get it. And the same in relationship. A lot of women are looking for a relationship, but become that. Men love women who love themselves.
Well, strong men, not men that want to control you, right? And that's the kind of men some people
But we
want.
don't want that. I'm not even talking about those men because we don't want to attract them.
Well, that's how some of these women with that mindset do attract those men, and they feel like they have to become very small and hate themselves and believe whatever in order to keep the relationship, not realizing that is not a healthy relationship. Also, as far as being a mother, when my daughter was born, I was in graduate school and I had to go back to work. And initially I felt guilty, but then I realized when I'm away from her, I come back as a much calmer person than when I'm around her all the time. Because the first 6 weeks of being with her, I was very stressful. And I realized I could not be one of those stay-at-home moms 24/7. I would not have been a good mom for her.
Oh, I wouldn't. I don't know how women do that. That's a full-time job, and I applaud them and I honor them. It's not for me. I'm a manager. That's how I see motherhood. I manage. I hire people to help her with her math, with her literature. I don't do that myself because I think
it takes a village, right? Like when you were back in Russia, it took a village. When I was in Afghanistan, the whole communities came together and helped you raise your child. In this country, or even in Canada, we're kind of isolated and we're expected to do everything and wear all those hats. And it can be really exhausting and overwhelming for one person to do all of that as the mother, because, mothers do all of those things. Even if you're in a healthy marriage with two parents, the mother is still responsible for all of those things. When she doesn't have help, when she feels frustrated, when she feels overwhelmed, she's not presenting her best self to the husband or the child.
Of course, then it's not worth it. Like, why even bother? So if you base this on I have to do all of this myself, and then you're tired, anxious, angry, why?
Yeah, resentful.
Again, it's so easy to say right now because it became like me. That's so me now that it's even talking about this. Yeah, I actually used to think differently. I thought I had to do all those things, but when I realized I'm just a manager, I'm like I look at it as business. I manage things, and I'm the CEO of my life. Yeah.
Well, you bring in the people that need to make your life run smoothly, and that's what it is. It's like we hire help, we take them to daycare, or we have support to raise our kids. We need help. That's just a given. Every mother, you're not a bad mother because you cannot do it all. You shouldn't do it all. There should be a lot of people
get to be served as well.
Yes.
That makes us stronger. It would be stupid to run a business by ourselves. I mean, in the beginning we all do, but if you can delegate things, and a lot of mothers go through this shame, guilt, and trust issues when they want to delegate. But again, that's a matter of another conversation. It's working on yourself, and first of all, trusting yourself, which is like the basis for everything. That you trust yourself that you can do it, even if it feels and if you're anxious. But just make a decision to trust yourself that you'll do it, and you will do it. Not that I trust myself, I'll do it perfectly well. That's not what's needed. It's I trust myself that I will do it somehow, not perfectly. Nobody's perfect. And
I'm a big believer in being good enough,
and that's what needed. Nobody wants to. It's all coming from the childhood, and usually it's for me. It was my father who wanted me to be the best, but that's striving for perfection is not really healthy.
It's not attainable.
Yeah. Being a little bit, I don't want to say better, but just
try your best, do the best you can, and that's good enough.
And base it on your desires first. Like, start with what do you want? What do you really, really, really wanted? This. And I remember when I did this exercise on myself. That was like 8 years ago. What do I want for this year? What do I want? What do I want? And I realized that I wanted that fitness competition because just started my fitness journey, having realized that that's not. I took a photo of my beautiful, not so ass, and I looked at it and I started crying because I realized the truth. Like, and it's not about a matter of a size, or it's just not what I would want it to be. And I accepted that truth. I cried for a couple of weeks, and then okay, what can I do about this? And then I realized by doing this exercise that I do with my women and men, I realized that I want to be a fitness competitor. And I remember I wrote it down and then I crossed it out. I was ashamed of myself. How can you even think that big? Like, hello. I crossed it out. I was like, did anybody see it? No, nobody said it. And then I said, okay, so, but it's between me and me. And I wrote it again. And then I kept taking it out, this piece of paper, and like looking at it. And then it became not so scary. I started to become used to it. Okay, maybe let's play a game. What if it's possible? What would I have to do?
Yeah.
So I found this trainer. I contacted them. I paid them the money. I set up the fitness. I never forget April the 8th, 2016, and I'm there. When I was on stage, it's like I made it. I reversed engineered it, but it all started from doing those little things and allowing myself to acknowledge my desire. The rest will come. And I'm releasing with a year ago when I started my conversation with Lisa. I listened to it and I said, we talked about our desires and our goals. And I said, in a year, I want to be on stage. I want to present physical stage, not Zoom stage, no, none of the summits, digital. No, I want to actually fly in somewhere, put my dress on, look beautiful, and be on stage. Did you see me last
Wear that crown.
Yeah, rocking my crown.
Rocking that crown.
Yeah. So it all starts with this decision to allow myself. And at that time, I was thinking, who am I to want that? And it's okay if you hear that from yourself. You're like, oh, that's big enough. That means that's a big, audacious goal, and you only get your full satisfaction when you have a very audacious, where it's a scary goal. Otherwise, okay.
Well, since actually working on my anxiety, I've pushed myself outside my comfort zone, and I've been met with amazing opportunities, amazing experiences, meeting really wonderful people. And it's not something that I envisioned possible for myself when I was a teenager. So and you mentioned your daughter at 13 saying that about you. Looking back on your life when you were 13, what advice would you give little Katia at that age?
Ooh. Yeah, allow yourself to listen to your desires, what you want. That's the most important part. And I've noticed this with a lot of women by whatever age, 40, 42, we go back to those unfulfilled desires. We start singing, dancing, making clothes, designing, like something, usually it's something creative, but we were told not to do it because that's not a profession for you. You're not going to make money this way, right? We all have that. And it's unfulfilled. And now that we're older, we're going back there.
Well, finally, I feel like when we're in our 40s, even late 30s and 40s and 50s, I remember Oprah talking about how wonderful being 60 was, that she was finally becoming herself, and how great 50 was and 40 was. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to be that comfortable with myself to be able to do whatever I want. And it's so true. When we get older, we don't care as much about what other people say. And we end up building that courage to be who we've always wanted to be, as scary as that could sound.
Right. That's what's happening to me. I was so afraid of aging when I remember turning 30. I was like, oh, 40 was coming. Now I'm 49 next week, and I never thought I would say something like this. I'm actually very excited for the 50th. Because for me, even in like marketing, there's a difference for women over 50 to look, feel younger, vibrant, sexier. It's a totally different level because it was much easier at 40. It was much easier at 30. It was like a no-brainer at 20. But try doing it at 50. I can charge
Yeah.
more for that.
Well, it's so true because a lot of people that are turning 50 or in their 50s, they are, it's a whole nother world that now it's like we grew up from a different generation and now we're getting into that age and we're competing with the filters and the phoniness and the Instagrams and all of that. And we might not measure up. So we do have to work on our mindset. And it is really, really important to be more realistic about that. But at the same time, why not be fabulous at 50? Why not look amazing and still look great? Because yeah, if I was back in Afghanistan, you were back in Russia at 50, you might look like a babushka, right? And so would I. But that doesn't necessarily mean that now here that we have to succumb to that. And they even did like this thing about the Golden Girls, when they were in their 50s, they looked so old to us back then. Women in their 50s don't look like that anymore.
Oh, for sure. And actually, that's something I can and I do bring to the table is Russian this part of Russian culture that women, like I'm talking the babushkas, that's the old understanding, but most of the women are so invested in the self-care and self-image, not necessarily self-love, because most of it is coming, to my understanding, from fear of being left, and that's another thing. But women invest a lot of time and money into the physical well-being and the clothes and image, which is in this society, that's not how it is. So I kind of balancing this out, trying over there. It's too much. They're too concentrated on the outside. That's too much. The Western world is not enough, I think.
Right.
Because we have this idea of becoming independent and making it and becoming successful. So my job is to build that bridge and create harmony in how you can do both, which is abundance. You can do both so that you are a wow woman.
Yeah. Yeah, create balance because it starts from the inside. And the babushkas that I'm talking about are from the mindset of the communist Russia, right? That was the olden way of thinking. Obviously, the world has become very small with the internet. There's social media all over the world. Even women in Afghanistan no longer look like the way they would have, 50 years ago. So
sure. My mom's turning 70 next week. She's so vibrant. She's so alive. She loves dancing. Like she's following a lot of, she follows my nutrition plan that I teach and my exercising routine. So, and she's
wow, woman herself.
My father passed away. So she's living her life. And that's such a great example, even though she's from that older generation. She is the one who adopted she has a balance that we talk about. So I'm very proud of her.
That's wonderful. I mean, your daughter's very lucky to see her mom and her grandmother living their best lives because that's so inspirational to give our children the ability to try new things, to really feel comfortable in their own skin and to reach for the stars because we put so many limitations with some of the things we might say to our kids, but why not give them something to aspire to?
Oh, I gave her freedom. I gave her freedom of choice in everything. And I think that will allow her to become, she's a ballroom dancer, professional champion. She's now on a cheerleading team in her university. Well, she got accepted to U of T, the best. She's first year in best university in Canada. And that's a proof. That's my testimonial. She's my best project. She's my best client. I'm my best client, but her and my mom, they're those wow women and she's very free and confident because again, that was my issue. So I concentrated on building her confidence So what she did, she still does it, but more so she did in during COVID. She became that public speaker for her age, for girls, teenage girls who went through hell and COVID, and she has like 500,000 followers on TikTok, and she was going live and teaching them confidence. Obviously, she hears me when I do my live, my classes. She hears a lot, so I hear me talking, and that's how she teaches. She teaches Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor. She teaches them, and they're like, wow, Sasha, you are, and she does through makeup. She, because as a ballroom dancer, she was all the time. People would do her makeup, so she knows that. So through makeup, through style. So basically, she's doing the same thing I'm doing.
For her generation. Yeah.
She gets paid. They send her like clothes, bathing suits with that TikTok. So she's a little, yeah, she's 18, but she's making her money, and because that's confidence, and that's a wow woman right there.
Good for her. That's incredible. So where can people find you if they want to reach out to you and contact you? How can people find you?
So right now, at this time of my life, Facebook is the way to find me. Katia Stern, I'm there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me today. It was wonderful getting to know you more, and you're rocking that crown. Good job.
I can't wait to see you rock your crown.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun. It was interesting and inspiring. Thank you for inviting me, like you said.
If you haven't already, you can show support for the Mental Health Break podcast by subscribing wherever you're tuning in from today. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or a 5-star rating, since that'll help others find the podcast. Bye for now.